Now then people, it's Joe, All Leeds TV, and it is time for your Leeds versus Huddersfield pre-match chat. Before we do get into Huddersfield, I just want to go through a bit of a Borough recap, touch on some news coming out of Elland Road, and then obviously we'll get into my thoughts ahead of Huddersfield away. Please, before we do get in, smash a like on the video, share, subscribe, and of course get the notification button on. The lads will be doing a watch along ahead of this game on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Fingers crossed, 3 points in the offing for Leeds United. So, Borough recap then. Look, absolutely amazing result. Borough, not great at all. I did say, could they pose any threat pre-match? They didn't. I said, if we get an early goal, that, the floodgates could open, and that's what happened. Bamford scored after 3 minutes, 2 goals from Matthias Click, and of course a goal for Helder Costa, which I know my friend Conor was absolutely buzzing to see. On Click as well, it was nice to see him getting back amongst the goals. The second was an absolute peach, and it was nice to see a corner or dead ball situation being taken with a bit of variation, not banged aimlessly into the box, actually, short, and obviously we scored a goal from that, so it was nice to see that as well. Luckily for myself, Tash and Oscar, we managed to get on the pitch for that game as well. A lot of people have been asking me why. Well, marching out together, which of course is a cause set up for the LGBTQ society and integration into football. We're friends of theirs, they're friends of ours. They spotted me and asked if we'd like to come on the pitch to show support. Of course, we jumped at the chance. It was quite a mad experience. I got to sit on Bielsa's bucket. The picture wasn't the best. I looked like I was taking a shit, in all honesty. Not great. If I could take it again, I would. But listen, it was a mad experience. I'm 31-year-old, but it still gave me the old shivers when the lads came out and the whole crowd was roaring up, marching on together. Seeing it from that standpoint was actually quite experience. So I will cherish that. What a great day. And of course, we got to meet Mike from Philly as well, who for some crazy reason managed to convince his wife to go on a honeymoon to Leeds, of all places. He supported Leeds since he was a kid with, through his dad. This was the second time he'd been at Elland Road. What a honeymoon for him as well, to come over to Elland Road and see Leeds United batter Borough 4-0. And he's got legend status in my eyes, because if I told my missus that if we got married, that we were going on a honeymoon to Leeds, I think I'd get a slap round the face. So big shout out Mike and his missus, absolute legends. So on to a bit of news then. I want to touch on the Eddie Nketiah situation. It's getting closer to January, and a few people have now started to come out, Bielsa himself as well, and having to speak on the situation. One of them people is Freddie Ljungberg, who of course is looking after Arsenal at this moment in time, with Unai Emery losing his job in the not too distant past. I'm going to quote what Freddie's come out and said on the Eddie Nketiah situation. He was asked, I think, ahead of the game against West Ham. He basically said he needs to be careful, but I think Eddie is a great player. If he goes on loan, we want him to play football and get minutes. Otherwise, what's point in him being there? Might as well be with us. And you have to agree with that. Look, I think Eddie would have got minutes had he not got injured, and now Bamford's in a rich vein of form. You can't remove Bamford out of the side, so Eddie's not going to start in the not too distant future for me. And they want him to go on loan and get minutes. It makes perfect sense. And look, what he's saying with that is basically, if he's not getting minutes at Leeds, he might as well be training with us, with the likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette, etc. And I get that. And he went on to say, I feel a bit sorry for him because he's a great player and he's the future of Arsenal Football Club. When he has his chance, he scores goals, and that's what he is about. And we have to agree with that as well, because whenever he's played for us or at England, he has scored goals. He's an absolute bags man. Be interesting to see. I hear little bits that Eddie apparently isn't happy and does want to go back. I'm on the positive side, fingers crossed basically. There's nothing to support that. I just hope that he stays. Of course, them idiots down there, Bristol City CEO Mike Ashton, loves to speak about Leeds United, basically also came out and said they're still keen on the attacker. I mean, why wouldn't they be? But he said, should he become available, it'll be someone we'd definitely consider if the fit was right and we were able to do it. So Bristol City are letting them know, we're still about here. Ian Wright's now out of the I'm a Celeb jungle. He went down to watch him with old Max and Paddy down the road. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one that's going to throw up some issues for Leeds United if indeed he does go back. Bielsa has come out and had to speak on the matter himself as well. He said basically, Nketiah is going to dictate the situation. You know, it's up to Eddie where he wants to stay, and depending on if he's comfortable enough at Ellen Road and at Leeds United to want to stay. I mean, Bielsa come out and publicly said he wants him to stay at Ellen Road for the rest of the season, and even shot out of the blue said he wants to see him, a season, ahead of that as well. So it'd be interesting to see, because Bielsa's clearly a fan in that respect. But Eddie's just thinking game time. I get it. Graham Smith's also come out and obviously said he's hearing that Leeds United are making contingency plans ahead of the situation should Eddie leave. Obviously, Kiko has the ban hanging over his head. You've got Jack Clark. They'd be daft not to be making contingency plans, in all honesty. Who that replacement is for Eddie, if he does go back, I'm not sure. I know Ryan Brewster was mentioned. One thing I will say, it definitely will not be Vidra, and it definitely won't be Gale. It keeps getting mentioned. It's a no-go. It's not happening. Jack Clark's situation, Jordan Stevens made the bench. Maybe Jordan Stevens would take that position and we wouldn't have to go out again. And you've got Meslier in the Kiko one. It's going to be an interesting January. I don't suspect much business to be done, in all honesty. We will do videos throughout January, but it all depends on them three, I think, to see if anything does happen. And of course, we were drawn Arsenal in the FA Cup. I know Conor touched on it in his pre-match. Hopefully we'll have some linked up with the Arsenal Fan TV boys. Fingers crossed that can happen. Unfortunately, it has been moved to a Monday night, the 6th of Jan, which is an absolute wounder. It's quite a long way to go on a Monday night. Fingers crossed I'll get tickets. Fingers crossed I'll be down there. I would have preferred it if it was a weekend, but it is what it is. But that's your latest news. Let me know what you guys think on the old Eddie Nketiah situation. So onto the game itself then. We do have a chance to go back top against local rivals Huddersfield on Saturday. Of course, West Brom, I think, play Swansea on Sunday, which won't be an easy game for them. We're 5 points clear of Fulham at this moment in time, and we can stretch that to 8 points ahead of their fixture. That's 3 p.m. against Bristol City. So both of them haven't got easy games, in all honesty. And it's a chance for 6 on the bounce for Leeds United, and Huddersfield have no wins in 4. So fingers crossed we can get 6 on the bounce. We did 7 last year. I know Mateus Clicker's come out just recently, actually, and said he hopes they can eclipse that 7 wins on the bounce, and so do I. So let's move on to Huddersfield themselves then. Of course, the Cowley brothers now in charge, have been in charge since September. Initially they lost the first 2 games. However, they then went 7 unbeaten, and Danny Cowley actually won October's Manager of the Month. However, form has dipped a bit, and they have no wins in the last 4. One caveat to take to that though is they have only 1 loss at home, and that was within the first 2 games that the Cowley brothers had at the helm. Looking at the results in detail, and I just seen this, and it does give me a little bit of confidence. I don't know what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments. So initially they come in, they lose 2 games. They lose against Sheff Wednesday, they lose against West Bromwich Albion. 2 difficult fixtures. I know Sheff Wednesday have gone backwards a bit after the game against us, but they're a decent side. Definitely will be challenging up there for the top 6. Another loss they had most recently on the 9th of November was against Preston. They lost 3-1. Bristol City beat them most recently 5-2. So the losses that they have had have come up against, for me, teams that are going to be challenging for the top 6. If you look at the wins they've had, Stoke, Hull, Barnsley, yes, they won away at Brentford, which is a difficult place to go. And a lot of the draws, to be fair, they drew against Middlesbrough, drew against Blackburn, drew against Millwall, draws against Birmingham and Swansea. So for me, I look at that and I think, right, okay, when they've come up against top opposition in the division, they've lost games. Draws against Huddersfield and Borough don't make for good reading. So that does give me a little bit of confidence. I am really nervous ahead of this game. I said weeks ago, when Conor did his prediction, I looked at it, I thought we could go on a bit of a run. Huddersfield game did worry me. I said so on Sunday Night Live the other week as well. And it does worry me, but it does give me a bit of confidence that when they've come up against top opposition, i.e. Bristol City, Preston, West Brom and Sheff Wednesday, they've lost. Do you know what I mean? And the wins, for me, haven't come against top opposition that they played at that time. Brentford out of that, but that's just my opinion. One thing we do have to worry about, or one person we do have to worry about, and I'm going to touch on the key danger men in the game, is of course Karlan Grant. 11 goals, 2 assists. to be at times literally carried Huddersfield, especially in the early parts of the season when Siebert was still in charge. He was the only one really getting goals, you know, and it tells you 11 goals is no mean feat in this division, and there is Prem interest already in the lad. I know the likes of Wolves and Newcastle have been looking at him. He could be a real thorn in our side, especially if you think that we are going to make changes. Obviously, KP's suspended. Ben White's going to play in that role. It means Berardi's going to come in at the back. So it is going to be a difficult test for Cooper and Berardi up against Carl and Grant. Another thing that does give me confidence is injuries. They are missing a few players. I know Cowley is awaiting fitness updates on Danny Simpson, Jayden Brown, and of course Fraser Campbell, who came off last time out against Bristol City. They've also got Chalobah suspended. It's been that tough for Huddersfield. It's tough going currently that Cowley has had to recall 4 players from loans ahead of the Leeds United clash. So that's something to consider. Much like Borough, they were down to their bare bones. It looks like Huddersfield are as well. The fact that Cowley's had to go out and recall 4 players from loan spells, whether or not they'll go into the match day squad is a different, you know, ball game. But the fact that he's having to call them back shows that they're on the bare bones. I think only one of them before has made a senior appearance for Huddersfield. The rest have never even featured. So it's something to consider ahead of the game. On to Leeds United then. Calvin Phillips is obviously going to be serving a 1-match ban for picking up 5 yellow cards, and we're also still without Adam Forshaw, Tyler Roberts and Jamie Shackleton's picked up a further knock as well. Calvin Phillips is going to be a massive loss. We know this. He's been an absolute mainstay, an absolute rock, future England player 100%, absolutely going to boss it in the Prem. I have every faith in that. So for him to come out of any side in the division is going to be a massive loss. He's a linchpin to this Leeds United side. One thing I will say, and I am really excited about, is the fact that Ben White's going to feature in that position. I'm excited to see it. I mean, we've seen what he can do running from deep. He showed it against Luton. Players stood off him. He played a lovely ball through to Paddy Bamford. We go 1-up. So he showed, you know, he can play in that role for me. There's nothing when I look at Ben White and think, oh, it's a little bit sketchy. It is a little bit sketchy. It doesn't worry me whatsoever. I mean, Bielsa in the press conference even spoke about the likes of Fernandinho at City and Fabinho at Liverpool, basically saying, you know, Fabinho was a fullback, now plays as a midfielder, you know, defends close to the centre-backs. And of course, Fernandinho as well was a midfielder, and now he's playing as a centre-back. Do you know what I mean? And them two are absolute ballers. I'm not saying Ben White's on that level. Do I think he could get to that level? Yes, I could. But it just shows then that the transition between defence and midfield, especially the KP role, isn't that big of a gap, you know. If Ben White was starting up front, I'd have something to say about it. But the Ben White situation doesn't worry me at all. You know, one thing I will say, if he comes in there and absolutely bosses it, which I expect him to do, it's just going to further alert top teams in the Prem. It is, it's a fact. But I'm at peace with that, because I'm just happy to see a player of Ben White's calibre in our football team. Genuinely, we'll be able to look back in years upon thing. I remember when he was at Leeds United, absolutely bossing it. We were well aware of his talent. Now look what he's doing. He's playing his trade in the top 6. Hopefully that'll be with Leeds United. You never know. But yeah, I'm really excited to see that. What that means is obviously Gaetano Berardi will come in at centre back, and it is going to be a tough task for him. Being under no illusions, Carl Grant is going to cause us problems. I genuinely believe that. In summary then, recent results haven't been great against Huddersfield. I know Conor touched on it. You know, we had the 4-1 loss, 1-0, and then of course 2-1 Huddersfield. I'm really nervous. You know, I have been feeling this for weeks. However, you know, with Huddersfield's injury list, suspension of Chalobah, coupled with the not, for me, great form against top sides in the division, I fancy Leeds to get a win. I do. It's going to be tough, you know, but one I'm confident we can come out of, you know, ahead of 2 home fixtures against Hull and Cardiff. You know, one thing we do need to say, they've only lost 1 at home since the Cowley brothers have come in. They did go unbeaten throughout the month of October. However, they haven't won in 4 now. You know, I touched on earlier, I don't think they've done that well against top opposition. We need this, man. We need to continue the run. We need to get 6 on the bounce. We owe them 1 as well. Obviously, the last 3 we've been beaten. We definitely owe them 1, and hopefully Leeds will come away with 3 points. I'm going to go for a cagey win, and I'm going to say 2-0, whether or not that constitutes as it being cagey, but I just think it's going to be tight, and we'll nick 1 or 2. Actually, no, let's go 1-0. We'll go 1-0, Paddy Bamford. Please let me know your predictions in the comments. And before I leave you guys, please hit notifications, and of course smash a like, but hit the notifications, because Conor and Oscar will be doing a watch-along this Saturday for the Huddersfield versus Leeds game. I'm really excited for it, can't wait, and looking forward to it. And hopefully we can continue with that run. So we've then got 2 home games, which has become a bit of a fortress for Leeds United. And of course, make sure you tune in to Sunday Night Live this Sunday at 7 o'clock. I'll be with you, won't let you down, I promise. But that's everything. Let me know your comments as per, share, subscribe, and I'll leave it there.